So today we're going to talk about something different in the world of wrestling. As you can see the render right here, right here, right here. Um, we're talking about Jay Whitehall, as he's pronounced by the Japanese announcers. But this is going to be a bit of a different talk about Jay White. Not his talent, his abilities, his matches. No. More like a potential. I was getting this idea from I got this idea about talking about Jay White and what this idea is from the video New Japan Pro Wrestling video analysis guy, Forrest Soa. I'm pretty sure I pronounced the last part of that name, so butcher me for that. And I actually asked him a question regarding this, and he gave me an answer. And I'll put his link, his Patreon in the description, and I'm giving him credit. And then I wanted to ask a bunch of other people around the internet, specifically the wrestling community, about this idea. The idea being, and this is a big one, um, could Jay Wyatt work as a babyface or just a face in general? So, yeah, this question regarding Jay White as a face has been a very top talked one when I went and asked people. First thing I did was put a poll up on Twitter and talked about where I said, could Jay White work as a face? I had that poll up for about 3 hours and 30 minutes. Didn't really do a whole lot with it. But from what the consensus was, it was a big fat no. But then later on in the video, I decided to ask questions regarding people who did think of it and what the idea of Jay White turning face one day happening and being a face character. I got one of my followers, Nick Settlers, said this. Not really. He's been doing good work as a heel at the moment. Noah Foster told me on the comment section of it, saying he originally was one, so I guess anything is possible. But mostly it seemed like it's possible because he did it when he was the young lion. Because I don't know if any I know people do know this because if they watch New Japan Pro Wrestling religiously, then yeah, maybe it's possible they do know about this. But the idea of Jay White being a face when he was a young lion was around. He worked in Ring of Honor for a while, and well, there was a lot of potential with the guy. But I never really watched his time during his Young Lion excursion across the country and across the world. I only knew who Jay White was when he came back as the Switchblade, challenging Hiroshi Tanahashi heading into Wrestle Kingdom when Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega was being announced. So I went ahead and decided to expand my train of thought idea regarding Jay White being a potential face, and I got some expanded thoughts. One from Noah Foster saying this. Well, with enough history with him, I think so. I mean, at first he was just challenging the best, then Omega, and then became a big on in his own mind and Bullet Club leader. I need to look more at his Ring of Honor career and time in Australia. Okay, so yeah, that had happened. I asked Noah that, and that was his response. So then I went on Reddit and made a video and made a topic called "Planned Video Discussion: Can Jay White Work as a Face?" And these were the comments I got. I got about a bunch of about a dozen comments. One being the automated "Please be respectful and moderator" thing. But this is the response I all got from it. One Viking Page said this. Yes, he can. I think he. One thing great about Jay White now is that he uses a very heelish methodical offense that hides his athleticism. Once he becomes a babyface, you're gonna see some crazy from Jay Whiteo. Ander responded with, "He's such a talent, it's ridiculous. More wrestlers need to deeply study Jay's work in general. He's so good at the small things, and he's only still 27. Gato sure knows talent when he sees it. He's one of my favorite wrestlers on the planet. Cannot wait for him to tear shit up as a babyface." Then I got a response from Strong Style 423. With his character, I can see it working, like Naito and Moxley type, sort of a tweener but still cheered. I think he might have to get backstabbed by Bullet Club for that to work. So White Summerside also responded to that comment saying, obviously just speculating, but the end of Wrestle Kingdom 14 Night 2 felt like they were laying some early groundwork for a power struggle, between Jay and Kenta over leadership of Bullet Club. Jay won against Ibushi, but Kenta made his statement by attacking Naito and certainly got a title match before Jay could. And Strong Style responded saying Jay White didn't even bitch about how he won Night 2 and Kenta lost. And then I got a response from J Rollins67. You want other people to write your videos for you? And I just responded saying, no, I'm asking for consensus. I have my own thoughts, but I wanted to try something different with my thought videos by adding other people's opinions on this as well as my own. Then I got Prophet Shaolin saying he was a face in Ring of Honor during his Young Lion excursion. He can pull off the underdog babyface. He's just a really good heel. Rodney U. Blocker said this. Yes, he can. He is a smart wrestler that will work well as a New Japan face. He was basically a face until he returned from excursion. Kawasaka's Dream said this. He's an amazing seller, to be honest, so that definitely helps. And Jamie B 1994 said this. It'll be interesting to see Jay as a face, but the only way it could happen is if Bullet Club backstabs Jay. So the consensus seems to be Jay White will be a great face unless Bullet Club backstabs him. And considering how Bullet Club operates, that's kind of inevitable at this point. But then I got the response I wanted from Forisoa, the video analyzer that actually gave me the idea to do this video, where he talked about Jay White's in-ring psychology work and how he believes he'll be a great face one day. This is what he wrote in extensive detail. I think that the potential babyface turn has to be done tenderly. Considering he's such an effective heel, you can't just take a guy that is getting such heat and have him suddenly smile and do the young lion stuff he did when he was a beloved young lion. It's going to take some kind of event to garner sympathy. But once the actual turn is done, Jay White would be a flawless babyface. His understanding of timing and how to sell damage as exhibited in the Tanahashi match at Battle of the Super Juniors, Ibushi match in G1 Finals, and the Omega match in the New Beginning all show how adept he is at the stumbling around in pain at the right times, when to sell dead and when to show fire, etc. I said that he will be a better babyface than when he would be a heel, and he's the best heel in wrestling. I stand by that assessment. So yeah, I'll be putting his Patreon link down below because since New Japan Pro Wrestling kind of screwed copyright content creators, which is why there's no clips of New Japan Pro Wrestling content on here. Plus, I'm not that good at editing on that kind of stuff. That's kind of out the window for me to use clips to insert my points because New Japan copyright sucks. In fact, YouTube copyright system sucks in general. But yeah, I wondered, could Jay White work as a face? It'd be a pretty interesting dynamic to look into Jay White if he could work as a face now, because I've seen his matches, and I've even seen Twitter reactions at the Japan shows where crowds would boo him mercilessly, just tear him a new one. In fact, he's so hated by fans. It reminds me of Roman Reigns when he just stood around for 15 minutes, letting the fans chant, "You suck! You suck! You suck!" Or when they chant, "Delete, delete, delete." Like, he was getting that such heat in such little time. And this was working because he's a heel, whereas Roman was being posed to be a face by to Vince, even though he retired The Undertaker until they retconned it out of existence. But you saw that hatred Roman got. Apply that with Jay White and it would work very much more effectively because then he could respond more, whereas Roman's just saying one sentence, which was perfect. "This is my yard now." Jay White could just insult the crowd. He could go ahead and act like the heel he always is. And in fact, it was so intense that there was a report that 5, maybe 15 people after he beat Naito, I believe, or Hiroki Goto, was that they walked out of the arena. Even the commentators pointed that out at the Wrestle Kingdom event. And I was like, wait, that really happened? Wow. He's that hated that if he wins his match, they'll walk? Like, and this is not like he's terrible wrestler or hatred so much that they want him to just go away like, Baron Corbin gets. The less I talk about that, the better. I was just saying, like, Corbin could probably work well given the right circumstances and material, but honestly, it's the booking. It's the let's give him this crap to work with and make it and try and make it great. You know, like dog puns on Roman Reigns or dog food and whatnot, and do things that make no sense and kind of diminishes the character's motivation and makes him look like a complete idiot because that makes sense. Or try and make him a main eventer, even though he's clearly at best an upper mid card talent, in my opinion, though that's probably just a consensus some people have. But yeah, and they tried to make him a main event player. It's just I wasn't really invested in it, probably because the material was horrible and they did the Becky Lynch Seth Rollins power struggle, and then fans would probably cheer for Baron Corbin now if he went against Seth Rollins because of what Seth Rollins did to himself on the internet. So he'd be cheered for an ironic sense. But Jay White turning face, that would probably be a very difficult task, probably even for New Japan Pro Wrestling if they do it the right circumstances. I have an idea of what they could do with this. Like I said, it would be a very interesting route if they did turn Jay White face, or if any promotion that gets him in the future, like hell, even WWE would probably have a hard time working with him, and they're creatively bankrupt. But Jay White being a face, how would that work? Well, obviously the one key component is Bullet Club. You would have to sever his ties with Bullet Club unless you want to turn all of Bullet Club face, but that wouldn't work for fans. And but who would take his place? Well, some fans do believe there's a groundwork being laid for a face run with Kenta, because now Kenta's gunning for the two titles Naito possesses, aka Naito 2 belts. And Jay White has a gun, did not get a chance to stake that claim. And for the most part, Kenta is below him in his eyes, probably, in the Bullet Club's hierarchy. He just sees him as the never champion. He sees him as a subordinate who can get him what he wants. Like, remember the G1 Climax event where he goes ahead and has all the Bullet Club members come out? Well, the ones that were there at least, and Kenta was the first one, and he had hoped to use them to beat Kota Ibushi. Now, there's probably two routes they could go with this. They could either have Kenta usurp Jay White, because Kenta is now the biggest heel beyond Jay White now after his screwing of Tetsuya Naito after what happened at the end of Wrestle Kingdom. Like, Jay White even didn't do that, and I'm pretty sure everyone kind of thought he should have. But now Jay White has all the attention no longer on him. It's on Kenta now, and he's supposed to be beneath Jay White in his eyes. So now you got this interesting dynamic, and Jay White might have a role to play in Kenta and the usurpation event that might eventually happen. But there could be another person that could probably usurp him, and it's probably someone from outside of Bullet Club. Another character who's recently beginning to have this darker surge to him. He showed it during the road to Wrestle Kingdom with Okada. I'm talking about Kota Ibushi. Kota Ibushi lately has been showing this darker side to him, like he would just become emotionless, become sadistic all of a sudden, and no sell the moves that people gave, until Jay White threw a chair at him. But here's the thing: the idea of having Jay White turn face, that's going to be probably a big risk, and it will have to be a long-term plan to make this work and execute it perfectly, just to get this shot in the dark ready, because Jay White is a very great heel. He's one of the best heels going. He's like the MJF of New Japan, except Jay White's been around much longer, so that seems unfair. But yeah, like the only way Jay White could probably surpass Kenta as being the top heel is if he goes ahead, signs for WWE, leave, and and then. Oh, okay, here's an idea. How about this? He goes ahead and acts like CM Punk for a sec, and then pulls this a stunt. He's going to sign with WWE on the IWGP titles after he beats down Naito, and writes it in like, I'm joining WWE, and I'm taking the belts with me, and throwing in the garbage. That will probably be the thing that cements him as a forever heel for the most part in New Japan, because New Japan's fans and the company itself is very traditional in its approach. Imagine Jay White doing that. He would never be loved by the New Japan fan base, because now they have saw him spat on the very tradition of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and threatening to go to the enemy, threatening to go to the West and take the titles and throw them in the trash like WCW did with the women's title. Yeesh. But yeah, that's probably the only way he could beat Kenta on that on the one upping of heel. But but turning him face, like I said, like a lot of people commented saying this: the only way they see him turning heel is if he's usurped in Bullet Club. Someone has to usurp him. Probably Kota, who turns heel. They do a double turn with Kota and JY, or Kenta overthrows him. And really, they will have potential to be leaders of Bullet Club. Kenta more because he's the kind of the guy with no country kind of attitude, because Kenta came in to New Japan when everyone expected him to go back to Noah after leaving WWE. He went to Noah, then went to WWE, went to New Japan. Fans wouldn't accept him as a face because, well, he's from the West. He's from Noah. He's from the enemy. We can't accept a guy like him in our ranks. And they turned him heel, let him join Bullet Club, turning on a legend for many fans. And now he's doing better than ever for the most part, and had a great match with Haruki Goto. And I still want to keep saying Haruki Goto's name as a Mortal Kombat narrator. There's just something about his name that's Mortal Kombat-esque. They really need to put him in the game. That sounds kind of awesome. But yeah, you have that factor. Jay White is the guy who's supposed to replace Kenny Omega as the top foreign wrestler, the outsider coming in. But to have him be a face, it might be more difficult because everything about his gear, his attire, his look screams evil, screams something you want to boo. Even his cocky arrogance, even him sitting on that throne with the IC title, which was awesome, also just screams him being a heel. But the idea to turn him face, he would probably have to drop a lot of his darker clothing in exchange for probably the white gear clothing he's known for, just to see if it can make it work. And he looks great in white clothing. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, this would probably be a very difficult experiment to try and make this work. They need to do a lot of groundwork to do it. Probably 6 months at best just to get the groundwork laid out. You gotta also build dissension with Bullet Club between Jay White and Kenta, or Kota Ibushi's darker approach to everything. Like maybe something could finally happen at the G1 climax. Like have Jay White be in the final match that will determine who will get the certificate contract to compete in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom. During the whole build up from there to October, since the G1 climax got moved there due to the Olympics, would have to be like, okay, like Jay White starts to do things that are more face-like. He's subtly working in the face attitude. Gato and him are not working together like they used to. Like he's not using Gato as much, and then eventually it reaches a boiling point where then the final match during the G1 climax, they have maybe Jay White versus Kenta. He can have him main event Wrestle Kingdom. That'd be kind of freaking awesome. And this further escalates the conflict within Bullet Club, and then ultimately, right before Jay White could get the victory over Kenta, Bullet Club turns on Jay White, and now you have a guy who's out to now try and take down Bullet Club. But the question is, who would he face at Wrestle Kingdom as part of Bullet Club, since Kenta would theoretically be fighting either Naito or anyone else as the world champ. If I had to guess who would be his opponent, it would have to be someone who's just on par with Kenta and probably even Jay White, because I'm trying to think. Oh, maybe you can have Bone Soldier be the new guy. You could probably have him be the guy to fight Jay White and have him get this huge head start. Probably would give Bone Soldier a huge push to have him fight one of the top guys right now in New Japan. But that's just hypothetical talk. I don't know what New Japan would have for him. Like, this is just me coming up with ideas based on what I've seen so far in New Japan. But, Jay White as a potential face. I think it could work. They just have to really try their damn best to lay a lot of groundwork, a lot of build up. Like they've proven they could do it. Like they did the Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega dissension, and then the Bullet Club Civil War that sadly didn't get a proper conclusion because most of the elite members left, and then they just gave up on the war because reasons. Yeah, it would have been interesting if the Elite just continued their civil war with the Bullet Club OG. Maybe Jay White could do the same thing, have his own split faction within Bullet Club, and do the Civil War again with the newer members against the, like I said, the Bullet Club OG. But yeah, but and another factor about Jay White's awesome heel work is the fact that he became leader of Bullet Club. Like for a lot of people, before the Bullet Club Elite War happened, Bullet Club was mostly seen as the good guys because they had Kenny Omega, they had the Young Bucks, they had Marty Scurll, they had they had they had all these very over the top personalities going on, and you had Being the Elite and Bullet Club on there showing their personality. It'd be like, how would this work? Oh, I just thought of it. I just thought of the perfect opponent for Jay White at Wrestle Kingdom next year if they do this face turn idea. Marty Scurll, since he's now signed as Ring of Honor's lead booker and he's working with New Japan and now NWA as this powerful alliance. Now we just need to get AEW in the picture, if that could happen. But that's a different topic. But since Marty Scurll is staying, he could probably reassociate himself with Bullet Club later down the road, and then we could get Jay White versus Marty Scurll. That would be a freaking awesome match. Like, I want to really see how Jay White could use his in-ring psychology against the finger-breaking technique of Marty Scurll. That would be kind of freaking awesome. But yeah, Jay White as a face. Like, as Kenny Omega says, that for every hero, there must always be a villain. And Kent and Bullet Club being the villain of the story, like I said, Jay White made the Bullet Club the villains again. He managed to get them the hatred that Bullet Club once had when they had Finn Balor, when they had AJ Styles. Even though AJ Styles says he was never the leader of Bullet Club, even though a lot of people consider him to be the leader. Heck, even some of the New Japan commentaries, I believe, even said that. But yeah, the idea of doing this actually kind of sounds promising, and if they do it long-term focus-wise, it could likely work, and New Japan has proven on several occasions long-term booking. And no, I refuse to cite Tetsuya Naito's 7-year journey as a booking plan. This was never booked in the first place. The 7-year journey was just accidental, in my opinion. Like, okay, there was a report that came out that they were going to inevitably do the double gold dash when they came up with the idea for the 2-night event, and the idea was to always have Naito win the titles eventually. But 7 years? I'm supposed to believe that they had a 7-year plan for this? Like, Naito was told you can wait 7 years for the title to be given the main event and win the main event at Wrestle Kingdom? No, it was just more like blissful accident, and New Japan can claim they made all this happen intentionally. You know, like certain people who say the Yes Movement was all part of the plan, even though Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, and virtually anyone else with a brain admitted that no, it wasn't the plan. It was always Bryan versus Sheamus, and Bryan was never going to be considered for the main event until fan reaction called for it. But, you know, ignore all that logical evidence and counterclaims. Just listen to the propaganda machine of Vince McMahon, because that's clearly going to work. But, yeah, Jay White as a face. With his in-ring psychology work and the exceptional talent he can give, and the selling of the injuries he can give, and even like I believe when he was fighting Kenny Omega, the audience popped in cheers when they saw Jay White didn't technically kick out of the V trigger. He more like rolled his shoulder up from because his whole body was completely mangled at the hands of Kenny Omega and his deadly V triggers. And man, those V triggers cracked. But yeah, Jay White would be a phenomenal face if they were to do it right. I don't know how they'll do it. Like, I have my hypothetical scenario. I presented it to you, but it does look like the only way they could start this foundation is if he gets replaced in Bullet Club, and that's probably going to be a while. So we'll have to see for the rest of the year how this goes out. We'll have to see how they book Jay White down the road to show if there's any tension between him and Kenta or Kota Ibushi and his allegiance, and whether or not you will continue being the Golden Star or become the Black Star of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Who knows? We'll have to see one day. But it would be kind of emotional for a lot of fans to see Kota join Bullet Club. Like, it almost destroyed his friendship with Kenny Omega in the story, and we all know how that went. Um, but yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see if Jay White will turn face this year or probably next year. But they'll have to do a lot of groundwork. They got to build up certain storylines. They got to build up Kenta more, especially since he's gunning for Naito 2 belts for the new beginning event. Plus, John Moxley is going to war Minoru Suzuki, and that's going to be a bloodfest. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. I want to say these are straight up just thoughts, but I would like to think this is a video article if I wanted to be honest, because I'm giving my thoughts and I'm using sources from other people's opinions on what could Jay White be as a face, or how could it work as a face. So those are those are the thoughts on Jay White on being potentially a baby face character or just a face. I don't know why it just bugs me when people say baby face, because it's like, so someone can call themselves a heel, but when you're a good guy you're a baby face. Like, I don't get. I just call him face. I just say face. I'm probably outside the majority, but I'm probably just that guy that likes to just say the word face instead of baby face. I'm just used to calling it being faces. So yeah, moving on. So yeah, those were my thoughts and other people's thoughts, including Forrest's thoughts on Jay White potentially being being a face in the future. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more. And breathe with the Switchblade!